Part 2. Summer came upon us in the kennels quickly. The days turned into weeks, turned into months. My body was almost growing outside of the cage. And when the whiskey drinking woman would go about her day after she fed us slop like dirty pigs, I made sure I worked my muscles up, building each one stronger and stronger. That day came when we all found out what she wanted us for. She stopped at Henry's cage. Henry was the first pup to talk to me. He kept me calm on my first day. She yanked him out of the kennel, looked back at us all, and stated, "This is the first day of training. Be prepared." I looked in Henry's eyes as he turned back and looked at me and saw the fear. I wanted to chew this nasty woman up into tiny little pieces. I tried to whisper to him and say, "It's going to be okay. Henry, please stay strong." But I knew as he did, we would never see each other again. She had a rifle that day, along with a pistol hanging off her belt. Henry looked back one last time with his head hung low, a tear falling to the ground. He tried to smile at me to let me know it would be okay. And I stood staring at him with a smile on my face, just to let him know I was with him. The sun was beginning to set, and I heard the whiskey drinking woman coming back. I could smell her too. I smelled fresh blood. I smelled the hate she had. She was dragging something behind her. I couldn't see what it was. Right then and there, I knew Henry was gone forever. This goddamn woman would sit cozy in her warm cabin smoking her corn cob pipe, windows open where we could all smell freshly cooked meat. That made all our mouths water while she fed us slop. That bitch ate good each day that came after Henry. She would come take another pup, always saying, "You're going to hunt right or you won't come back." And each night she would come back smelling of whiskey and smelling of fresh blood. And each night she would cook some yummy smelling food. I feared she was eating all the pups that never came back. I also feared my day was coming. And that never impending day finally came. I was the last of the pups. Shaken in terror, I knew I may not survive the day. I never understood what hunt meant until this day. She walked up to my cage and leaned in with that whiskey on her breath. In her deep, raspy voice, she spoke, eyes glaring into mine. "You will hunt right, girl, or else you will meet the other's fate." She opened the door. was thinking in my head, I could make a run for it. But instead, I stretched my cramped body out. You could hear every bone pop back into place. I froze from running. I froze in fear. She said, "Come on, girl. Follow me and stay behind me. Don't you wander off or I'll do like I did your mother." When she said that, that anger in me grew like a fire flickering in the wind. The more we walked, the more she spoke, the more I wanted to chew her nasty ass up. After an hour, she said in a loud voice, "Stop and stay here, girl. It's time to hunt." That nasty woman walked away. I closed my eyes to listen. And when I listened, I felt like I was in a new world. I could smell water, hear chipmunks chattering away, mice scurrying away while slithering snakes were trying to catch them. The tall grass was tickling my belly. A butterfly landed on my nose. I giggled. It was the first time I giggled since I was taken that horrible day. Fuck that, I didn't want to sit still. So I jumped through the grass like a jackrabbit. Grasshoppers flying around me as I jumped, and all of a sudden I heard a loud bang. The woman yelled, "Get it, girl." I was puzzled. Get what? She yelled again and pointed towards the water and said, "Get it, girl." I smelled fresh blood from a bird she had just killed. I guess this is what she meant by hunt. So I ran towards it. My stomach growled in pains from the smell of that dead bird. I picked it up. Once that taste of blood hit the back of my throat, I began to run and play with this dead bird. I was lost in my own world. I forgot about the nasty, mean, whiskey-drinking woman. Then in an instant, I was back in reality. Bang! Shot towards me. I felt heat hit the back of my legs and looked down. Blood came pouring out of me. That bitch shot me. I glared at her with so much anger, hate, despise. She raised her rifle towards me as I stared at her. Bang! She shot my left head, the left side of my head. What the hell? I began to run like the wind blowing through the trees on a stormy summer night. I heard her reloading that damn shotgun. As I was running, I was thinking, so this is what that bitch did with the others. She killed them and cooked them up. She yelled, "I told you if you wasn't going to hunt right, you wouldn't come back." Bang! The bitch missed me. I found strength in my bloody body. I found strength with the images of my mother, images of the other pups. I vowed to get my revenge. I ran faster. I could hear her raising that rifle again. Bam! She missed me. That stupid bitch. She screamed, "You dirty ass, no good for nothing hound. I'll kill you like I did the others. Just like I did your mom." I begun to run faster and faster. As I ran, I didn't feel nor think of the pain. I felt my mother and the other pups pushing me, giving me courage to keep going. I don't know how long I ran. I don't know when I stopped hearing this woman and the gunshots, but when I finally stopped, the stars were in the sky high. I looked around in fear, closing my eyes so I could hear every sound around me. The breeze was coming off the trees next to me. It cooled me down from the day's events. I didn't feel the woman was even remotely near me. I felt she was gone forever, that she gave up on trying to kill me, but I was still on guard. The tall grass kept me hidden. I hunkered down, curling up in a ball, whimpering and licking my bloody wounds. I cried for my mother. I cried for all the others who were killed. My heart was heavy, but I was finally away from a dark, cold place. That cold, still cage. From a woman whose blood ran so cold you could feel it when she walked past you. My eyes grew heavier. Fighting sleep was becoming harder and harder. The next thing I knew, I woke to dew tickling in my nose. My body ached, my stomach growling. I stood up to stretch, frozen instantly in fear from the noises I heard in the far distance ahead of me. I slowly crouched down and walked a little bit ahead to much taller grass where I knew if I stood, no one could see me. My eyes peeping between the grass blades. I saw 3 white buildings. There were men wearing white. There was a white bus. To the right of the men in white, I heard a stern voice. I looked, it was a man in a gray uniform. He was saying, "All right, inmates, get in line. Give me your number, your bunk number, and your name, and where you're working today." This went on for an hour. The men in white were inmates, and the man in gray was called Sarge. See, I was a very quick learner just by watching and listening. My mama would teach me things daily. She would always say, "Now girl, listen deeply. Close your eyes. Smell what's around. Hear every sound and learn from it." Days went by and I learned to steal food from this place called the Trusty Camp. The man I saw on the first day, I noticed hadn't been around in 4 days. I liked hearing his voice. He was stern in his commands with the inmates, but I also could hear the respect these inmates had for him. My days were filled with sleep. My nights were filled with running through the tall grass, chasing crickets, rabbits, and whatever other animals would come into my path. I was getting my strength back daily, but the buckshots would never come out of me. I saw the man called Sarge. He came back to work, and I started getting excited. I was jumping up and down through the grass, and I had to stop because I felt he was glancing over. My eyes were peeping through the grass blades. He turned. Our eyes locked. I couldn't move. He just smiled real big. A warm, fuzzy feeling came into my heart. For some reason, I knew I was going to be safe, but I was still scared. He turned his head and I went and lay down and slept. Sleep overcame me. I was running along his side. The sun was shining. We were both happy. He was talking to me, telling me what a good, beautiful girl I was. And then I was startled. I was awoken by a terrible sound. I can say that was the best dream I had since the day my mother was killed. The sound was thunder. I knew it was fixing to pour down rain, so I had to find coverage quick. I was scurrying around, not knowing what to do, and then the man they called Sarge came out. He looked towards my way and he hollered out, "Hey girl, if you need cover, my pickup truck's right over yonder. Why don't you get underneath it? I'll have you some food out there after a while. Just give me some time." I still had my trust issues because of what happened. I waited till this man went inside. I waited for hours. I saw him put a plate under the truck and he went back inside. I kept seeing him looking out his window all the time, and finally I was in a crouching form and I slid under his truck. There I stayed for the night. I felt safe there. You see, I figured out this man's schedule. He had worked 4 nights on and 4 nights off. On his nights he worked, he would pull the inmates out and have them cook food for me. I knew this was his last night working. Nervousness took over me. As the sun started coming over the horizon, I stayed under Sarge's truck most of the night while the storm passed. Feeling safe, secure, I dreamt of running with Sarge, him holding me tight in his arms, speaking to me in his deep, kind voice. But it was only a dream I so longed for. I trusted this man, not knowing him. Just that gaze when we locked eyes. Something about him made me not dream of the horrible events that led me here. Lost in a vast world, not knowing how to survive or what I was going to do. My health wasn't great. Everything I ate didn't agree with me. I was shrinking to a skeleton. I knew if I didn't do something fast, I was going to die.